I decided to publish my first game. In the past years, I've been making games for fun, but I never actually published anything, and I felt like it was about time to change. So I started a new project, and since this was my first published project, I didn't want to go too crazy with the idea. A simple mobile game like Doodle Jump or Flappy Bird should do the trick. After doing a little bit of brainstorming, I decided to make some kind of stacking game, where the player has to place blocks on top of each other. The first thing I had to do was implement the basic gameplay, and this is what I came up with. You have these blocks on top of the screen moving from left to right, and when you click with the mouse, they fall down. But let's be honest guys, nobody would play a game that looks that boring. So the next thing on the list was to jump into Adobe Illustrator and make some fancy sprites. I decided to go for a snowy mountain theme. And this is what it looked like in the game, already a lot better. I also added some snow particles to the background and a little snow explosion when the blocks land. But at this point the game was still very buggy. For example, the blocks could be stacked up to the spawn point, causing them to collide with the new spawn blocks, and that would eventually crash the game. So I jumped back in the code and refined. Now the mountain is permanently moving downwards and the highest point of the tower can't reach the spawn point. With that being fixed, I realized something. No matter how precise you stack the blocks, at some point your tower would collapse. So I had to apply some kind of checkpoint mechanic to the game. This is what I came up with. After a certain amount of blocks, a darker block will spawn. If you hit the tower with that block, all the previous blocks will freeze in place. At this stage, the gameplay was almost finished. All that was left to do was to polish the game. So I added a score and increased the game speed as you score more points. Now comes the part every game dev hates: setting up the user interface. That means making sprites for the different buttons and make them do stuff. With that out of the way, I was pretty happy with the game, so I showed it to my friends and family. They made me realize my game was still missing something very essential: music. So I went on Fiverr and paid a guy $30 to make some music and sound effects. The first track didn't quite match the theme I was going for. It had too much of a Christmas vibe, but eventually he made quite a catchy song. Tell me what you think about it in the comments. The game was finished now, so I had to come up with a name, and since the player is stacking ice blocks, I decided to go with Frosty Stack. Get it? Cause the blocks are ice cubes and you stack them? No? At this moment I was thinking about contacting a publisher, so I reached out to Ketchup. They said they would answer within 2 weeks if they were interested. Well, they did not, so yeah Ketchup.
Don't call me. Don't come by my house. We're done.
For a game idea I had on a whim, I think Frosty Stack turned out quite polished, especially since the idea was very simple. Frosty Stack can be downloaded in the iOS and Android App Store. Let me know what you think about it and give me some ideas for future projects. Thank you guys for watching this video and see you in the next one.